Welcome to Pagan Crafting. I'm Kara, your local art and green witch. Today we're going to make a personalized grimoire with Mod Podge, and we're going to make a faux leather look to this grimoire book. We're going to rock in some tissue paper, we're going to bring in some hot glue, some faux painting. We're going to do some crystals, some vines, some grimoire, some personalized monograms. Heck yeah. We're going to have some fun today. Join me today as we make a personalized grimoire. Okay, so what we get to start off with is an artist blank drawing book, white tissue paper, flat or gloss Mod Podge, and a paintbrush. Starting off with our artist book, we're going to use a matte finish Mod Podge, doing quite a healthy coating. So you want to coat the entire front cover and the side of the book. Now you want to have down some parchment paper or some wax paper underneath your book, and that'll help prevent anything sticking down to your table. So what I did here by accident, I had to reapply the glue because I forgot to crumple up the tissue paper first before laying it down. So you want to crumple up the tissue paper, open it back up, and this is what's going to create some beautiful texture in your spell book, your book of shadows, your grimoire book. And it does tear easily, as you can see here, but we're going to be doing layers, so for me does not matter. Lots and lots of layers are going to look cool, overlapping layers. So each layer that touches them, you do want to put another coating of glue underneath. And then you want to hit the glue on top again. Now what I've mixed up here is just a bit of Mod Podge glue. You can use it straight up the way it is, or you can do like a 1-part water, 2-part glue. It will take a little bit longer to dry that way, but both ways will harden and look super cool. It's just a matter of preference. So as you can see here, I'm doing loads and loads of layers. Mixing in the water with the Mod Podge glue, now doing a coating over all the tissue paper. And I'm going to hit that bottom layer again as well. Now what I did here is I roughened up the edges so I didn't have any flat edges coming down to this bottom piece. I didn't want to see any like lines and seams of the other paper. Now you can do the spine. And again, any layers that you have to do a glue layer between each and every tissue paper that you do, or else you'll have some dry bits and it'll stick out. Again, crinkling up the paper every time. And I'm going to do a double layer so I can get lots of really, really cool layers. And I'm leaving about an inch, inch and a half of paper over the edge too, and we're going to be folding that in on the inside. And just tipping up the edges. Some of it's drying already, but I got to try to fold that in. Yikes. I didn't realize it was going to dry, so I'm just going to moisten it back up with some glue. And you want to fold in those edges while it's drying because they will stick out proportionately. So now that my outside is dried, we're going to work on the inside layer. We do want to trim this down a little bit. We just want to, you don't need to work with so much throwback on the back covers and the inside covers. So you want to put in, again, a couple inches of glue line in, folding the glue over it, working it away. And again, each layer that you've put on, you do have to put a glue layer between each. And then when you're gluing down the edges, make sure you put a good amount of glue down. And we're going to cover up with some paint, and we're going to rock in some other designs over top of this so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Now this is what the hardened shell looks like. It took about 4 hours to dry, but I left it overnight. And this is a nice and tight finish on the inside of the books. Now this is my sigil book, and the red one here is my spell book. I've done these both on the channels, and I'll link these above. Now you may have seen my sigil book quite a bit. This is one of my favorites. And I have all the sigils that I do on the channel in this book. This one was actually done with hot glue, so was this. So we have two different patterns here to choose from. What I've done, I've taken the tissue paper over top of the glue once it's cooled down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some crystals in the corner with some ivy vines. I'm a crystal witch and I'm a green witch, so I kind of like the crystals and the vines. So the pencil you could not see, so I decided to sketch in my crystals, which was going to be easier when I'm going to hot glue over these here in just a moment. And then I'm going to grab another color of felt pen, use any color you want. And I'm just going to sketch in my vines under, over, and that'll help pop out and differentiate between what I have to do with my crystals versus my vines. And just drawing on the paper to see which direction I should make the curl. So just doing some adjustment as I go. But I'm feeling this and I'm liking how it's looking out. Now, I like these G's and I like this A. These A's are super fun. I like the O, but I think I'm going to combine a bit of everything together. Starting off with the G for Grimoire, just kind of doing a light sketch where I think it should go, and now bringing it in. Now, I did bring the bottom loop of the G over top of the spine, and I knew I was taking a risk. And once the spine opens up, it disconnected from it. Of course it did. But so my message to you is don't draw over the spine. It looks cool, but it will disappoint you later. Now you want to use an actually inexpensive or super cheap glue gun from the dollar store, because the reason is these type of glue guns are not that hot. They're actually quite cool, and they don't leak out or spread out like some of the hotter glue guns do. So you're able to control the lines quite nicely. Now that that's done, I've laid a black, just a wash over. I'm going to do a wash on the inside as well as a wash on the outside of a black acrylic. Now that that's dry, it's already popping out some of the designs that I've done. I want to give this a leather look. So I'm going to be bringing in some dry brushing of some chocolate brown. And I'm going to stamp brush in around the edges I can't quite get into, leaving the crystals out, but I am going to work around the lettering and the vines. Still doing a dry brush and letting some of that black punch through. And don't forget the spine, and we're going to do the back of the book here in a moment. The next I'm bringing in is some gold into the chocolate brown, and boy does this wash punch it right out. And I'm not a gold girl, but this gold on the chocolate looks like leather. It is so beautiful. I was well chuffed how it turned out. And then now I'm bringing some brown again over top of the gold just to tone it down a little bit. Bringing some dry brushing of the chocolate brown again over top of the gold. It's all about layers, 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 and layers. Now for the fun part. I have Color Shift Folk Art Paint. These are exceptional to use. And I have Deco Art Metallics. They're a little on the pricey side, but I find the paint goes a long way. So actually the paint that you see here on my palette is probably well more than enough. I just happened to try to squeeze out a couple drops and a blob would come out. But it really goes a long way. Starting off with the aquamarine, we're going to lay down just some fun colors, and we're going to think iridescent, we're going to think dragonfly wings. I really wish the camera would pick up the aqua color a little bit more than you can see here. It's picking up more of the metallic in this one. But we're going to bring in lots of colors and we're going to really shine this up and really give it the dragonfly wing look in these crystals. Don't forget the top part. Now bring in some aqua straight up over top of it. I wasn't seeing quite enough. And we have some violet colors coming in here. Bringing in some lavender, some royal blues. We're going to bring in some pinks in here with some gold hues. Have some fun with this. It's just all about layering it up, layering it up. Anything you don't like, let it dry, let it rock, and then just throw some more layers over top of it. Bringing in some metallic greens now is just going to set it off. Now I'm feeling I need to see a little bit more of that teal, that aquamarine. We're going to bring in some blue mixed in with the aqua. I think the color is more suited to what I'm envisioning. I'm going to stamp brush in and dry brush in around my name and the word Grimoire. And then once I bring in the color over top of the lettering, the hue of the aquamarine is going to like fall back to the back. And I started going into a bit of a trance here, and I want to adding the aquamarine like all over. So I want to bring it in all over top of the brown work and the gold work that I did. Which once I do the back of the book, you're going to be able to see some more of those aqua tones, and it gives it a really cool patina look actually. It's kind of got the coppers and browns and the aquas. It gives it a super old world statue flavor to it. Again, working with the dry brush. Bringing in the browns first. You want to really load up your brush and use the side of the brush. And just work in little bits at a time. If too much goes on, then you can play with it. I accidentally dipped into the black, so I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, and I'm going to keep working the brown over top of it to try to hide that extra little oops. And again, we're going to bring that copper, gold, bronze, brown over top of there. Oh, it looks so gorgeous. Don't forget the spine. Now back to that aquamarine. Again, for that patina look. It just gives it a really cool copper finish. Unexpected and very, very pleased. All right, that stage is done. Bringing in some blues here. I'm going to be bringing in some more, just some hues, some contrast. Using that as some of my shadow points with the blues over top of there. Now headed back to our black, we want to highlight the curly cues, the ivy vine. Now, even though we're going to be painting a green metallic over it, the black, trust me, having that, the black undercoat, not a white undercoat, but a black undercoat for the metallics, really slam out the color, and it really looks super cool. And it's a nice contrast against everything else what's happening on the front cover. So I first decided I was going to venture out and go gold. But there was the squiggly on the G I wasn't quite feeling, and it was really driving me nuts. The glue wasn't as clean as I wanted to as it was in the C. And I decided to leave it for a bit, and the more I looked at it, the more I didn't care for it. So I made a patina color with the blue and the metallics for the crystal, but I felt the crystals were still a little bit lost on the book. So I started adding more black to it. I did a bit up, added more black, and I wound up having to go with quite a dark look to it. But the metallics mixed in with the blues are so shimmery and so pretty, and again, an unexpected mistake. So I wound up redoing the C and the G with more glue to have more of a fluid look. I really didn't feel what I did on the last glue attempt. And we're going to hit a coat of black on this instead of gold. So I changed my mind. I'm going to escape the gold. I thought it would look cool, and I don't know if I'm just not a gold girl, or if it just maybe didn't look as sharp or the way it turned out, but we'll rock this. Now I'm bringing in a color shift green. This color shift green does have a gold flavor to it. So I'm still not completely getting away from the gold. And look at that, the green is actually bringing out from the top of the crystals now, so now you're able to tell which one is which. So I finished painting Kara's Grimoire in olive black, and I'm bringing in the aquamarine metallics over top with the royal blue metallics. So while the word Kara is drying, which is going to be your name you're going to put there, while that's drying, you can go on to the Grimoire part. And then we're going to do some kind of shading of the different color gradations as well. So now I'm mixing in the royal purple or royal blue with the aquamarine and just doing layers and layers and layers as I go. Just doing little steps, little steps, little steps, blending down the color, going a little bit darker as I go along. Now for Kara, I thought I'd use a metallic purple and a color shift pink and rose. Now this color shift pink, I believe the purple's a color shift as well, but the pink has a bit of a gold flavor to it too. So quite beautiful to work with. Now we're gonna bring in some Mod Podge. Finishing off everything now is where we're going to bring in a layer of the Mod Podge over top of the entire book. So we're going to seal everything in, and this is also going to bring out more of the colors too, which I did of the shading with the aquas and blues around the lettering. And this will help also bring out some of the colors that are used in the crystals. Well, thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this finished Kara's Grimoire book and do a little patina flavor with the crystals and the ivy. Now you can personalize this book and make it your own. Well, again, thank you for chilling out with me today, and I wish you an absolutely magical day.